Glory to Ukraine, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much that you are now with us. You are with Sumy Channel, and we have a very specific conversation today. Please, I want to introduce you my friend. He is philosopher. He is teacher of English, Kostyantyn Savytskyi. Now he lives near Kyiv, and all his life he is thinker and he is teacher. So, Konstantin, glory to Ukraine.
Glory to heroes.
I'm glad to see you here. And first of all, a philosophical question. It is understandable for us, for me, I think for other people, that why we need English, according to our perspectives in our life, according to our desire to organize our welfare on the high level, in English for job, it is understandable. But I think that English may be not only for job, English for your heart, for your mind, for your spirit life. What can you say about such philosophical question, please?
Philosophical questions concerning English, yes? Well, I have been teaching for 40 years, yeah, and I've been helping people to move to other countries. My students emigrated to different countries in Europe, in the USA, in Canada, yeah. And of course, the first priority for them was their job, yeah, and they needed English for their job. But as soon as they arrived there, yeah, they had to actually expand their English to all aspects and to all spheres of their life. And life is not only about work, yeah. Life is also about communication with friends. Life is also about getting adapted to the environment, yes. And like English was necessary for them, not only to make money, yeah, but also to try to make their life full in the environment. Of course, it's not always possible, yes, but English, it's also for what? For playing, for functioning, for thinking, for reading, for everything. So you can play with the help of English, you can live with the help of English, you can develop with the help of English, developing with the help of English. This is, I want to emphasize this, developing. Self-development is also important. And, you know, I'm proud that I was able to help the people, yeah, and especially when the war started, yeah. When the war started, a lot of my students, women mostly, yes, moved to Europe. Now they're living in Germany, Belgium, Spain, and so on, yeah, and they're trying to use English. So this is the main point that has been overlooked for many years in this country in particular. Like, speaking English or English is something abstract and not connected with life. But I have been trying to actually make people think in English, make people function in English, yeah, to make English alive. And well, I'm not sure that I have always managed to do that, but yeah, that's the point. For me personally, yeah, English has been a part of my life, yeah, and due to English, to a great extent, I was able to achieve several things in my life, yeah, and English made me what I am today and who I am today. Yeah, many other things too, of course, but English. So English can be much more than just something that helps you to make money and so on. Yeah.
Well, next question. This question is more simple. Tell a little about yourself and what is English for you.
For me, English has been something that actually helped me develop. Yeah, I've been reading a lot, I've been watching a lot, and the most important thing, I've been communicating a lot with the native speakers, with foreigners, with Americans, with Brits, with Canadians, with Australians. And that was the most essential thing, yeah, for me. And well, I have been learning for 40 years and I have been teaching for 30 years, yeah, and I keep learning. It's very important, like for every teacher to keep learning, continue learning. This is the most important thing for every professional, actually. But we'll talk about it maybe later, but a good teacher should continue learning all the time. Yeah, and so that's like what English has been in my life. It's like, it's been, I don't know, 70% of my life. That's what's English for me.
Well, but is it possible to learn English completely? Or it is impossible for us? Completely.
Completely. I want to be honest with you. No, it's impossible. It's impossible. And we shouldn't even try to learn it completely. We should understand like what's completely, completely what? Enough to speak to a professor, to an academician in Oxford or somewhere, or enough to speak to a plumber in London or a cleaner somewhere in the United States. It's like completely is very abstract. But it's possible to learn English to the extent where you're gonna feel confident, where you're gonna be like, where you're gonna be sure of yourself. It's possible. It's possible to function. It's possible to, to use English as a tool, as an instrument. Yeah, one of the skills. Like you drive a car, you speak English, and other skills. It's just a skill that makes your life more efficient. Yeah, and so on. So completely, like I don't remember how many words that are in English. Yeah, too many. It's impossible to learn all of them. That's completely. Completely is like never to make mistakes. It's impossible. We make mistakes, and it's always all right. It's all right to make mistakes, and yeah, it's like that's what I mean. Yeah.
Kostya, this is a very specific relation between teacher and between student, adult student. And I know that a lot of people, they are afraid to organize such relations because they had a very poor and very terrible experience. I remember my times. I had all my time, all my life, I had a great desire to know English, and I spent a lot of resources. I remember school experience, experience in university, but it is really difficult to use English in your life regularly. to speak English with other people. It is really difficult, and I think that it is a very important question. The portrait of the perfect student and portrait of perfect teacher, according to effect, according to results, please.
All right, a perfect student, in my opinion, is a student who is motivated, first of all. Motivated. The best results you get when you're motivated by something practical, of course, yeah. Like to learn a language is something general, yeah. I want to learn English just not to be not to be behind in my development or anything. This motivation works for some people, but the motivation just to get some concrete, to achieve some concrete goals, yeah. To like, I love working with people of professions like, I don't know, truck driver, a waiter, a sportsman, yeah, a truck driver who wants to, yeah, to learn English, to get a job, to increase his salary, to improve the conditions of his life, yeah. And he's motivated, and it doesn't matter what educational background he has, yeah. So it's much easier to work with him, yeah. It's much easier and much faster, yeah. But of course, educational background helps, yeah. Educational background helps a bit, yeah. A good student is also a critical person. Yeah, that's why I wanted to do this conversation with you, because I know you have been doing this course of critical thinking. Yeah.
Yes,
like
yes. And
in my classes, I not only teach, we talk, yeah, and we learn to think together with people. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. And like, I prefer to work with adults. I prefer to work with the people who are able to think critically, yes. And I discovered in the course of my work that there are a lot of, you know, barriers, obstacles. There are a lot of obstacles. People are afraid. People remember that negative experience you talked about. Yeah, like they are afraid. You look at them, there is a man of, I don't know, who is 40, 50, 60 years old, who is successful in this, like in this community, in his job. But when he starts learning English, he is shaking with fear, physically. It's like, and you ask him, what's wrong? What did they do to you? And he starts telling about that teacher, Anna Vasilyevna, or somebody who scared him to death, and who actually like told him that he was stupid and he would never ever learn English. And there is a fear, and when there is a fear, I found that out in my job. When there is a fear, yeah, it's almost impossible to learn anything, because you're not able. A lot of your attention, like, I don't know, big part of your attention is frozen there, and until you work with a person, until you overcome that barrier, it's almost impossible to teach the person anything, yeah, and for the person to learn anything. So that's how I came to this point where I had to listen to people, listen to, and we talk, actually very often we talk about psychology, about their problems, about their lives. And I do that consciously. I do that consciously because I understand that, you know, all of us have got our language picture of the world. Yeah, language picture of the world. Yeah, I want to, like, I don't teach with the help of books. Yeah, I want to get inside that picture, language picture of the person, and we try to learn, we try to master the language within this picture, within this framework. First of all, yeah, the person feels comfortable there. Yeah, and then we can, and actually after that, the person can learn English by himself. They don't need me anymore. Yeah, and that's how it works. A perfect teacher, a good teacher. There are no perfect teachers, of course. Yeah, a good teacher in any subject, again, is a teacher who tries to approach the student individually. That's why I don't believe in groups. I don't believe in teaching like 30 pupils at school, yeah, or 100 students in the classroom somewhere, yeah, at the university. I believe in this individual link with a person, because, well, I used to teach everywhere, at schools, at universities, at course, at some private schools. Yeah, when you have like 30 people in a classroom, it's impossible to get closer to each of them. Yeah, you just teach something abstract, and the efficiency is very low. Yeah, but when you have this individual, yeah, you can understand the motives of the person, their interests, their language picture, and you try to give them maximum, yeah, of this, maximum of this. And so individual approach, not all teachers are able actually to do that. They teach by the old standards, like, yeah, and what else? Yeah, and the teacher should also continue learning all the time. That's like my students sometimes teach me. They can teach me even new words. I don't know. Some teenagers can teach me some slang, you know, and it's great. I'm grateful to them. And well, this is it. This is it mostly.
Yes, I support you. I think that individuality is the main thing for the person, and teacher have to understand these attributes of definite person. That's why this method, individual method, is more effective than group method. But I think if maybe a group method can be effective when we work in small groups. It's maybe five students, not more. When we say class, a big class, it is really impossible to make individual communication with each person. Well, what is the secret of your method?
The secret of the method, as I said, it was like individual, it was like psychological. It's not like traditional. I'm not a professional psychologist, but my method is to provide the student with maximum time speaking. Yeah, speaking. If you want to learn to speak, you have to speak, not to do tests. If you do tests, you will learn to do tests. If you read, you will learn to read. But if you want to learn to speak, you have to speak. You have to do many hours. In psychology, they talk about this very often. They talk about these 10,000 hours in any sphere, and you are going to be an expert. Yeah, 10,000. Yeah, or approximately 10,000. Yeah, But so my students get this time to speak with mistakes. It's all right. It's perfect. It's perfect. I'm just a little bit correcting, but they do many hours. And as a result, they become more confident. I very often tell my students, like, English is confidence plus 3-5 words. It's a joke, of course, yeah. But confidence comes with you know, when you do something with discipline, when you do something many hours, and as a result you become less afraid to talk. Especially like, I very often recommend them to go to a pub or to a bar, find a native speaker, like, and ask them to talk to you. Like, talk to me, please, talk to me. Let's buy some beer and talk. Yeah. And I tell them this 1 hour talking to an American guy, usual American, then, like, I don't know, 10 hours with Costa. Because a native speaker is a native speaker. They will teach you the things that you know, you can get only from them. Yeah, and most importantly, you will become less afraid, less scared, and you know, the result is going to be better. And about this psychological thing, like, I have been working with a lot of people of different jobs, different occupations, and different age, different, I don't know, gender, different status, and so on. You know, it's very important to set this contact. When they trust you to the level of friendship. Yeah, of course they pay me. Yeah, I'm kind of paid friend. Yeah, but this friendship, this is the best surrounding. This is the best environment where communication can be most effective. They trust you. You know them. You know, I don't know. I know their kids. I know the grandchildren's stories. I know some tragedies. People talk about, you know, what hurts them, you know, very often. Like, we have this conversation. Of course, I could give them a topic about, like, I don't know, like, well, museums in New York. Yeah, but at this moment, they are not interested in that. And during the war, it became obvious to me that actually, first of all, they need to be calmed down. They need to talk to somebody, and this tool, this means English, yeah, it helps them. Because when you, like, maybe you have been working with psychologists, and you know, it's when you speak out, when you talk about your problems, yeah, when you say something out loud, it loses its damaging, you know, effect on you. It hurts less, you know. They speak about their problems. They already feel. I never give any advice. I'm not a professional, but I just listen. And I just show them that they are all right. They are not insane. It's most people have similar problems, and it's all right to talk about it. They talk about that, and they feel better. And speaking English makes it easier for them somehow. I don't know how it works, but when you are not ready in Ukrainian to talk about it, but in English, it somehow, you know, puts the problem aside, and you can talk about it, and it's all right. So my work is a mixture of actual language and psychology. And philosophy, of course.
Well, unfortunately, only 2 minutes we have now, and the last question, philosophical question about advice. What would you advise people, especially at this difficult time for Ukraine? And I know that you was in Ukraine in very terrible territory when this sharp phase of this war took place. And please tell some words, advise something.
Advise something. I can tell about my personal experience. Of course, people who might listen to this conversation, they can say like, what English are you talking about? There is a war. People die. Terrible things happen. You know, there is corruption in the government. There are soldiers dying every day, every minute. Yeah, what English are you talking about? Like, it's not a priority. Yeah, it's not a priority. I agree with them. Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The priority now for a lot of people is to stay alive physically, then stay alive mentally, like, because the war is a terrible thing. Yeah, and I've observed it on a lot of people. Yeah, people panic, people go insane, let alone soldiers on the front line. Yeah, I can't even imagine what they go through. Yeah, and what terrors, what nightmares they go through. Of course, stay Ukrainian. This is a priority. Yeah. And here I might advise, learn Ukrainian. So we should learn Ukrainian. I am learning Ukrainian. I want to make it fluent. Yeah. I have my written Ukrainian. It's more or less fine. Yeah, but spoken, you have to practice. You have to do 10,000 hours to make it fluent. Yeah, of course. But to then another thing I would say, now there is a war for all of us to stay human. And staying human means developing, you know. It means educating yourself, never stop. And if you have one day, like you develop yourself, you study something, you read something, you develop. And here there is almost no connection with the war. You have a day, you have woken up. Yeah, go ahead. And here I have to do the last thing. Yeah, I have to tell you, like, I have a friend who is very close to the front line. I'm not sure, even maybe on the front line. He told me, Kostya, when I return, not if I return, when I return, you're gonna teach me English, and you're gonna teach me English. I'm a vet. I'm a military vet. You're gonna teach me English. All right. Then there was another person who asked me to again, a soldier, who said like English is very important. They understood it there, that English was very important. Education actually was very important. I remember the picture somewhere in Facebook, that soldier lying in a trench reading that anthology of Ukrainian poetry, that the blue one. Yeah, this is the example. The guys want to study, to educate them, and here, like, it's never late. It's never late to study, not only English. It's never late to educate, to develop, and so on. That's the point.
Thank you very much, Kostya. It was
Thank you.
interesting. I think it was interesting. I think it was useful. It was our first experience of Sumy Channel, of such specific conversation, and I hope that this is our conversation, and we shall speak about this philosophical aspects and other aspects, and
yeah, that would be very
using this
interesting.
possibility of
Yeah, and it
Sumy
might
Channel.
encourage people to learn English. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. Glory to Ukraine.